Manchester and London. I've also asked a member of the St Giles Ministry team to lead us in a prayer for people of Grenfell Tower.
God Almighty, hear our prayer for those who have agonised and died, suffered and been scarred, are bewildered and bereaved at Grenfell Tower. We give thanks for our emergency services and for all across the country who are offering care and support. And for those that are left homeless, we pray the new homes will be quickly found and that your healing spirit will be with them in the days ahead. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so to receive apologies for absence, please.
For apologies for absence, Councillor Howes, Councillor Brooks, Councillor Tebbert and Councillor Perrin. And Councillor Tebbert, apologies for absence.
Show of hands, please. Thank you. You've all received the minutes. Can I sign those as they
Forward councillor should be recorded as being a secret ballot, not just a vote. And look, section 106 should say Desborough North. In the minutes.
As for those corrections, you propose that, and as for a second of the corrections, please. June.
How can June? She wasn't here, was she?
Can I also then have a proposal and a second for the minutes to be a true record with those corrections made, please? Okay, councillor. Please.
Declarations of interest, please, under the Council's Code of Conduct related to business on the agenda.
Anything that I cannot vote on any planning matters that are the member of Kettering Borough Council parish.
Okay, moving on to the community grant scheme. Yeah, could I ask the gentleman from Marlow House please to step forward and
You can.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Desborough Council for a grant of £2,250 towards the cost of a replacement boiler on our first floor hospitality rooms. We hire out those rooms every night of the week, and we provide catering. So without the boiler and the heating, etc., when the winter comes, we'd be hard pressed to continue to hire. So many, many thanks. So you're pleased to know that the people doing the work is a local tradesman, so we've kept the money within Desborough. So many thanks.
Is there anybody here from the Bowls Club?
Indoor bowls.
Police crime figures, you've all received the statistics. Do we have anybody here? this evening? Any questions that any councillors would like forward in statistics?
Education of the building of the construction site. Last night.
Right. Representations from members of the public. I have two, and the first is Mr. Morris Pitt, please, if you'd like to step forward.
Good evening, again. Before we start, I'd like to make an apology, certainly to the people of Desborough. 18 months ago, I attended an IFDS meeting at the Ritz, and people were looking to canvass support for whatever reason. And I commented that if you go looking for votes from Desborough people, you're going to find it very, very hard, because the attitude is, nothing to do with me, mate. They've already decided that it would go over their heads. However, recently I conducted a poll on a petition from Desborough. I've been proved wrong, so I apologise. I spoke to Mr Matthews last night about the petition for the over the removal of the parking restrictions upon Pioneer Avenue. So I can hand that to you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will read the results out so you probably know what they were. Pioneer Avenue had some parking restrictions removed. And after a lot of research and a lot of problems, and including me having a good old shout and Ray Brooks telling me off, he asked me to, or called my bluff actually, and said, "You threatened me with a petition, show it." And I did. I canvassed 103 houses in Pioneer Avenue only for the lines to be replaced. They were offered three options, and these options were suggested by the Highways Officer of Northampton. Option one was double yellow lines on both sides of the avenue at the bottom, to its junction with Rockwell Road. Option two was double yellow lines on the south side and a single yellow line on the north side, so people entering Pioneer Avenue with vehicles at least had somewhere like a refuge from oncoming vehicles. The third option was to go back to what we had before and what was removed, single yellow lines. The voting from the people in Pioneer Avenue is as follows. There are only 103 houses in Pioneer Avenue. They were all canvassed. 83 of those houses responded. There was one who voted no, on the grounds it would exacerbate the problem. The problem is safety, not parking. That was the emphasis of this petition. 19, as a mixture of either no one in or couldn't be bothered to return the petition documentation. Half of the documents were returned to my house as requested. The rest I had to go and chase. However, you will see from those figures that it's almost unanimous that the residents of Pioneer Avenue want double yellow lines instating in place of the single yellow lines that were removed from the bottom of Pioneer Avenue. On my travels to these houses over the last couple of weeks, at first they thought I was a councillor, and I started bending my ears over other problems concerning the road, all sorts of things. I have uncovered another problem with parking, i.e. Unity Street and Pioneer Avenue, and Unity Street and Federation Avenue, the state of the road. A postman insists on parking on the grass verge of double yellow line, so you can't see out of Pioneer Avenue. The overgrowth from the roots of the lime trees at the bottom of Pioneer Avenue on the right as you leave, which you can't see what traffic is coming. So the people of Pioneer Avenue were using this as an opportunity to let off a little bit of steam. Mr Matthews has been kind enough to give me a call. We've arranged a meeting next Tuesday to take this forward, put some ideas forward, and some of the residents have come up with some good ideas. Alright. I'll discuss those with Mr Matthews. I don't expect any answers on this tonight. What do you want to do? I think it's probably best that you look at the petition as it went out. You can see for yourselves that Pioneer Avenue residents do expect them to do something with the highways. We only hope you do. Okay? I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Mr. Cole.
Thank you. Last night, a member of the council accused me of not telling the truth, the whole truth, and anything but the truth about a comment I made. So for my question or representation tonight, I've added a bit more depth to it along similar things. On the 10th of November 2016, before the financial budget and precept for 2017-18 was agreed, Northamptonshire County Council informed Desborough Town Council of two options for the one-way system around Nicholl Street and Gladstone Street. Can I ask which option Desborough Town Council has gone for, and whether you have undertaken the recommendations from Northamptonshire County Council that, I quote, extensive consultation exercise would need to be taken to be carried out with the residents affected before the January meeting with NCC you had to agree it?
With regards to the one-way system, we actually had a meeting with Highways this week, and at this point a design hasn't been finalised yet. We have sent them away to do more work on that area.
Okay, because between November the 10th, 2016, it was recommended that extensive consultation took place, and then at the meeting on the 26th of January, where it was agreed to pay the $3,600 for the feasibility study, they were under the impression that consultation had taken place and reiterated, can DTC give assurances to residents and businesses affected by the proposal that once NCC have investigated further and produced suitable plans, that Town Council will undertake proper and full consultation. So, between the first two meetings where they asked for consultation to take place, before you agreed to proceed with it, what consultation took place in that period?
I will have to investigate that matter for you.
Okay, because for the last four meetings, I've asked and I've been informed that I will get councillors back to me, and to date, I have not had one reply on any of the matters raised. I emailed Councillor Brooks 3 times in the last month after he courteously said he would, and I will be going to the BBC and Northants ET next week with my findings from the previous question because I've not had.
Right to do so. However, Councillor Brooks is actually off sick and has been since within a few days of the last meeting, which is why he's not responded to you.
Okay, so as Vice
you know,
Chair then.
You have contacted me, I have responded to you, and I will respond to you.
Okay, and you'll be able to respond about my last one about the zebra crossing and the funding, which
We actually have information
Could you please share that now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So you want, if you go through again slowly.
Just, okay, yep. What consultation between the meeting on the 10th of November 2016 and the meeting that took place on the 25th of January 2017, where Northamptonshire County Council, in writing, put that extensive consultation exercise would need to be taken to be carried out with residents affected about that before you then went away and spent or took £35,000 of our money on a project that the residents could come back and businesses could come back and say, actually we don't want, because I've spoken to local residents and businesses just on passing, and a lot of them have serious concerns about their access out of Desborough that way forward there. So I'm hoping you've had similar conversations and we'll be able to inform the residents of that.
I will investigate that for you.
Thank you very much.
Before you want, Councillor?
I'm happy for him to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The revelation that we have got County Council to pay for the zebra crossing and Gladstone Street, Nicol Street, one-way street, bothered me slightly. No one told me that.
I didn't say about Gladstone Street, Nicol Street. I didn't ask about that. I asked about the zebra crossing bit, for clarity.
However,
Yeah. Yeah.
I inquired and I had the head of transport and highways at County Council write to the Town Council and copy me in. So with your permission, Chair, I'll read what it says. Good afternoon, Jane. I'm contacting you regarding the programme of works for highways improvements in respect to the two schemes in Desborough Town for a one-way system in Gladstone Street, Nicol Street, and a zebra crossing on High Street. As you'll be aware, due to the limited funding we have available, we have to prioritise every request received. This means that in reality, many schemes have to wait a number of years before reaching a stage where funding is available. To put this into context, the available budget for the whole county in any 1 year is £500,000, and the cost of the schemes waiting to be funded is just Daventry and Kettering alone, they're in blocks and areas, is 3.6 million. That's waiting to be funded. As in the case with all highways funding, the programme is reviewed annually, and there is no guarantee that the current funding levels will be maintained. In respect to the two schemes referred to above, whilst I acknowledge that they have been discussed for a number of years, I regret to inform you that they have not been prioritised for funding in 2017-18, and given the uncertainty of future funding levels, or indeed changes as a result of the new prioritised schemes being included in the programme, I'm currently unable to give any guarantee with regards to the viability of these schemes being funded in 2018-19. Now, that was my understanding, but the advice that it could be funded by the county bothered me, so I've made that inquiry. To supplement that, a person whom I work with on a regular basis from his highways liaison officer, I won't read the whole thing, but he is effectively saying he's enjoyed a good working relationship with the Desborough Town Council over a good number of years. And with regard to the request for measures to address the traffic issue along Gladstone Street, this was first raised in 2010.
Thank you for that look there.
I'm just emphasising what you want to hear.
No, I did not ask at the last meeting about them funding that.
But if you listen, you'll hear something, please. All right?
Yeah.
And for the installation of the zebra crossing High Street was initially made in 2011. The requests for larger schemes like this are put on, and it goes on to repeat more or less what was said before. So effectively, there's a consolidation at the end, which it more or less follows the trend of the previous one. Just put it into context, the total cost of implementation of all the outstanding schemes in Kettering and Daventry area alone would cost in the region of £3,600,000 to implement, and that is it. There is no indication whatsoever that the County Council could afford to put any of these schemes up to be funded in the near future.
Okay, I've got a document back from them through the Freedom of Information that has shown me that blacked out the top 10, but shows at 11th place as the zebra crossing outside for it there. So I base that on the information through freedom of information that I received back, which I take as face value through that process.
We do understand that,
So-
however, as Councillor Matthews has said, we are receiving different information and that is also being investigated.
Yeah.
Just to bring,
Okay.
But for clarity, it wasn't. I did not ask about them funding the Gladden Street, Nickel Street for it. Just
Well, you have additional information. Just to put into perspective also, if I may, the first letter or email I read out was dated the 13th of June, so that's 2 days ago. The second I read out was dated 15th of June, which is today.
okay.
So it's up-to-date information.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, and Mr. Matthews, I look forward to some replies to the other questions that I'm still waiting for. So thank you.
Well, I leave that one off the record now. These are in no particular order, and as I've mentioned many times, about 75% of all the inquiries I get are highway related. These are no particular order at all. Rushton Road, that is, as I understand it, along to Rushton itself, along by the fishing lakes, will be closed on the 24th of June from, between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. for necessary works. I've printed off a map. I know that there's a certain kind of interest, so these are just purely random rather than in particular order. I've been asked a number of times about the roads that are still up for adoption, in particular on the Grange estate, because that is by far the biggest single estate we have in town. And it seems to me that very little has moved since the last time I requested this interactive map. And consequently, those roads which are the far end of Burdock Road coming towards the railway line and Burdock Way and Violet Close, half of Ironwood Avenue and virtually all of the tributaries of Ironwood Avenue, that's these Rosebay, Foxglove, half of Thistle Drive, Oakwood Close, Rowan Close, or Rowan Close if you like, and the Ride and Wood Green Close have not been adopted yet, and are probably unlikely to be adopted until such time as the main developer decides to put the rest of Ironwood Avenue up for adoption. The reason for that being that until such time as they have, the County Council and indeed Anglian Water have access to the right and the correct quality of road and underground services, they will not be offered up for adoption, won't be accepted for adoption. So therefore, I'm sorry for the people who live in that area at the moment. At the moment, if anything goes wrong on street lighting, on the sewers, on the roadside itself, it is still, unfortunately, up to the developers until such time that the adoption is the process goes by. The unadopted road, oh, no, I'm sorry, Rushton, the Rushton to Oakley Road, for those familiar with the little road that leads out from under the railway bridge at Rushton itself, along where you've got the Mick George site on the right hand side, that's going to be closed 24 hours a day from the 19th of June for up to 3 weeks, I'm advised, and it's essential repairs to the road. If anyone's been on there recently, you'll understand why. There's a huge number of potholes and depressions in the road, and they're going to close the road for up to 3 weeks. Not necessarily 2 weeks, but up to 3 weeks they're provided for to put the essential repairs into place on that one.
Excuse me, who's going to pay for those repairs?
I'm sorry?
Who's going to pay for those repairs? The pit owner?
They have a bond with Mick George. Mick George put a bond in place some years ago and they pull off the money as required.
Okay.
And I think that's about all I want to say on that as well. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Matthews. I had to phone Highways today. As you're aware, there's a carnival on 24th of June, which is the day we're pushing roads to be closed. When I followed the link roads
Mm.
that they distinguish sort of Pitpole Road in Desborough
Mm.
and Pitpole Road in Rushden, because we had a whole afternoon this afternoon of sheer panic, wondering how on earth we were going to deal with closure and the risk assessments that went along with it.
Oh, sorry, I apologise for the communications up down there, but it was made quite clear to me that it was along past the fishing lakes towards Rushton, the main route for the, if you, I hate to use the word rat run, but that we have an alternative route now, through.
And just to say,
Yes.
when you look at the map, it is at the end of Dover
Yes.
Avenue to Pitpole
Yes.
Road. However, that's not what the wording says.
No,
So
I'll have a word
it's-
with communications, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, Borough Council reports, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I thought it would be good if I reported on the travellers' situation. I received 2 emails we shared with Benedict at Kettleborough Council.
Could you speak up a bit? We can't hear.
Yes, I'm talking about the travellers.
Thank you.
Wardens have attended the site twice and spoken to the travellers. Bags were distributed to be used for any waste they may have. The countrywide traveller unit, that's the CTU, have visited twice in order to make assessments and start proceedings. The CTU are awaiting some information from the police, provided that is received, but today the CTU intend to make a court application on Monday, that's last Monday. It is envisaged that the direction to leave the site will occur on Thursday. That's today, if they haven't already done. We will be continuing to monitor the site for the weekend and liaise with the leisure centre. As an update on that, the CTU attended with the relevant club order earlier this afternoon, supported by PCSO. The caravans have now left the area with the exception of one belonging to a family who provided evidence of a medical appointment for a child. With the welfare issue and limited police resources, we've agreed to keep the occupants of the remaining van until tomorrow afternoon to make a pre-arranged appointment and then leave. Failure to do so will result in the vehicle being seized. The CTU are on standby to effect this. The environmental care will clear the site as soon as they can, and that might be first thing tomorrow. It is understood that the travellers intend to leave the area, but we will obviously continue to monitor. So, Kettleborough Council have done their proper job with this, and talk to you back now.
Councillor Tabbitt's report was circulated to councillors. You've all received and read that. Okay, Bob.
Council, the subject matter that I will be discussing is already covered on the agenda. Thank you.
Councillor email addresses. The council is asked to consider the purchasing of individual gov.uk email addresses for each councillor. There is a cost of £25 per address, but it's best practice that all council members have their own gov.uk email addresses, which ensures that the Data Protection Act is adhered to and that councillors' personal email accounts are protected. There is a change coming, isn't there, to the Data Protection Act next year, hence the fact we are bringing this to council now. Any questions? No? Okay, can we have a proposer, please? Can I have a seconder? Elspeth, and can we have a vote, please? Can I show of hands? All in favour? Anyone against? Right. The Lawrence site, Desborough Community Development Trust. The council note the KBC executive meeting that was held last evening and also acknowledge that the Town Council has been mentioned, and for that reason we are urgently requesting a tri-party working party to establish exactly what is being asked of the Town Council. At this stage we are not able to expound any further on that, but I will be asking councillors to put themselves forward for a working party. Thank you. Okay, there has been an issue with the play park proceedings and we will be deferring the report on that until next month. Do we have any reports from community?
Move it away one probably.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to make one on behalf of Desborough and Bloom.
Okay, would you like to step forward, please?
Yes. You may not be aware, but Desborough and Bloom have entered the East Midlands in Bloom competition this year. I know, it's a bit spooky, it scared the life out of us, but we've decided to go for it, and I'm really glad we have, because what it's done in this community is bring out so many wonderful people. I don't know if anyone's noticed, there have been people out on Station Road rubbing up weeds, you know, and generally making the place look tidy. Desborough and Bloom have put out 6 of their brand new tubs. It's quite hard work because you have to empty the old tubs, put the new tubs in place, fill the others with compost, dance sound on, that's fun, you should have seen John Cat. And then, you know, so we've done 6. It's outside the library, if anybody's seen it. And something outside the library, thank you for that. And in the middle of the bed outside the High Street Co-op, one of the old tubs is going to be planted with herbs, which when they are established, and I hope that people can contain their excitement, people will be able to use. So the judging's on the 7th of July in the morning, and all we can say to everybody is if you want to help, if you can litter fit, if you can weed, if you've got any good ideas, please let us know. We know we're not going to get, you know, we're not going to get gold medal or anything, but it's a good exercise for us. Letters have gone out to the residents and businesses in Station Road, and they've all taken it very positively. The Browns are doing a litter pick, I believe, on Monday. The Rainbows are interested in helping, and IFD is actually doing a litter pick on the first weekend of July. So if anybody wants to do it, councillors, you're welcome. We'd love to see you there. Just let me know, and I'll tell people. The tubs are being filled this weekend, and the hanging baskets are going to go up next Tuesday. So all I'd like to do is say thank you very, very much to everybody who's done all the hard work they've done so far. Let's hope that we can do a bit more. Oh, one last piece of news. We've contacted the owner of the old dairy and he's happy to paint a fence. It's quite scary. He wants browns. Please don't say that's boring, because we know that it's a step in the right direction. So if you fancy paintbrush, let me know. So thank you to the committee, the volunteers, residents, businesses, and absolutely everybody else who's been out there so far and done it. You know, the town is actually looking a lot better. Go and look outside Revive. The weeds have gone and it looks lovely. Thank you. Oh, and that's our scrapbook, so if anybody wants to have a look, we've got it with us. Thanks. Thank you.
Councillor Matthews, please.
I'm so sorry. I was scrabbling around looking for the other. I knew I had my item on there. I just realised what it was. One of the items I wanted to consider under the county council report was we've had some requests. One request in particular that seems to have escalated now about parking or no parking at any time on the junction of Princes Avenue and Dunkirk Avenue. Now, to put it in perspective, we now have a suggestion, nothing in writing at the moment other than a suggestion, as to what we could do to alleviate this. And with all traffic regulation orders, the enactment of them doesn't take place until such time as it's been suggested and agreed by the parish council, and then it goes through a period of consultation before any lines put down whatsoever. It can take some time because, unfortunately, unless you actually identify each one and pay a cost for each one individually, it's put onto a big schedule of works, and we backfill the Kettering Borough Council schedule in this town. So we've presently got maps have been shown as to what the proposal is. Nothing's agreed at the moment, these are proposals only. And the proposal really is to have double yellow lines around both sides of the exit from Princess Avenue onto Dunkirk Avenue, together with double yellow lines on, which cascade over 2.5, say 3 properties at the end of Princess Avenue as well. And this is what I wanted to bring to the councillors here this evening, so I do apologise for missing it. I knew I had got a point somewhere, I was trying to find it. That is the consideration. I think all councillors have had this now, and I think we need to establish what the view is on this.
Councillors have any views on this?
So this is the outline at the moment. I will bring it to earlier rather than later. It's not going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month necessarily. It's just an advance warning, if you like, a suggested way of making it safer to exit from Princess Avenue onto Dunkirk Avenue. I know the feeling well. It is difficult sometimes to see any spray either way because the car colour, and it's unfortunate on all the streets we do.
I know one, yeah. Yeah, I know you mean, by the church. Yeah, I know what you mean. That one there, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. The working group has had one preliminary meeting to start looking at the feasibility study. It's a very complex document, 78 pages, a number of different options, schemes, and different
I know, I walk that way on my own.
costing. So it's going to take us some time to get through that and come to a conclusion. We are also beginning to liaise with other stakeholders that are involved. One of the things that we have decided must be done is there must be full consultation with people in Desborough before we commit anything. And that will happen. Further updates will be forthcoming in due course.
So the steering group have had a very productive and good policy workshop with a considerable amount of ground covered. Work as always continues, and the date for the beginning of the public consultation will be released imminently. Right, multi-wheel sports facility. Due to health and safety concerns, it was necessary for the access to the site to be reconsidered, which has led to an additional cost. The full cost is in the region of £9,000. However, the firm are willing to cover half of this. So council is asked to agree the cost of £4,000 to enable a safer route to the site for all concerned, including members of the public who will continue to be using the leisure centre whilst this work is carrying out. I propose to have a seconder, please. Please by show of hands. All in favour?
That is now £152,000.
Anyone against?
350,000.
152,000 in total now, and rising. And yet, not one person in the house that overlooking have been asked about it. Not one person. No.
All receive the table of payments. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Proposer, can we have a seconder, please? All agreed? We note the receipts received, please. And to note the following receipt of £6,349.27 from Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs for a VAT refund. And to note the bank accounts balances, please, are the current account £313,401.32, the business saver account £19,137.16. Planning. The report has been circulated. Can I also take this opportunity to remind members of the public there is a public consultation at the St Giles Community Centre tomorrow for land at Buxton Drive. That's at 2:45 until 7 o'clock. If any of you have any interest, if you'd like to go along and see what they're proposing. Also, the planning appeal for the land at Desborough South that was scheduled for the 19th of July. On receipt of the evidence, the examiner has decided that actually a public inquiry would be more beneficial, and as soon as we have more information, that will be forthcoming. Okay.
I received notification on
to the committee who do a very good job organising this. Are you still looking for bodies to help?
We're always looking for bodies to help.
Anybody that's got any spare time on the 24th of June, make yourself known to your committee members. I'm sure they'd be grateful of your help.
Can I just ask them to speak?
Yes.
Sorry. Normally the members of the council act as stewards. Have we got lots of
I know we do have some.
stewards this year?
I know we do have some members
Because
of
we
the
had
council
none
are
last year.
stewarding. Yes. Yeah, we do. Okay, so we note the date of the next meeting, ladies and gentlemen, is Thursday the 20th of July.
No news on the quarterly newsletter then.
For attending.